Well, as you can probably imagine, the group has been in a very buoyant place. I think it's been a very reasonable start. And I think the guys feel as though some of the work and connections that have been worked out so intensely in pre-season are just starting to come out in the group. So very, very pleased where we're at. Still plenty of hard work and a very tough game this weekend to look towards, but a great mentality in the camp at the moment.
Thank you, Coach. We'll start with Drake Hills on the floor and then go to the Zoom. Go ahead, Drake.
Yeah, Gary, good to talk with you again. Start with the center backs. First and foremost, obviously, the national team, men's national team roster coming out. Walker's going to be staying here. How much of the current state of where Nashville is, obviously Nick going on the SCI list, how much of that affected the decision for Walker to stay? And then obviously with Dave, I'm curious what you've seen in the first few games on how he's impacted the Revolution.
Well, first and foremost, Walker's inclusion or exclusion is down to the national coach, and of course we respect that. Both Walker and Shaq have been very valuable members of that team, so I don't think there are any issues there. There was nothing this end that impacted their choice. We're of course delighted that both of those players are around the group this weekend, and of course towards Cincinnati. As far as Dave's form's concerned, I think we said at the time, there were some factors that were, integral into the reasons for trading Dave, and I think it worked out very well for both groups. Of course, the situation with Nick has been a little bit more concerning and has compounded some problems here with depth. But as far as Dave's concerned, he looks like he's fitted into that group well, and we'll obviously see him this weekend.
Alrighty, thank you, Coach. We will go to the Zoom. We'll start with Ben Rye. Go ahead, Ben.
Yeah, Gary, you just talked about Nick there briefly. I'm curious, with him out for the rest of the season, how do you feel about the center back depth that you have? Are you happy with what you have, or do you think you might look to sign a replacement since he's out, or what's your kind of overall feeling on the situation right now?
Well, I think once you get a problem anywhere, the conversation starts to, be directed towards, okay, what can we do? How can we help support that area? And of course, it opens up the door and the opportunity for others in behind that to maybe get their chance a little bit sooner than they would have done. The fact that Nick is on the injured list for a year is bitterly disappointing, and I'm not going to go into it too deeply. I know I made some comments in the last presser, but what I'll say on that is he had very little time in pre-season in this group, and then was diagnosed with a serious Achilles problem that he's obviously had an operation on. So I can't say any more than that, but it's bitterly disappointing because there were decisions made around Nick, around the trade, that have now impacted the group. However, we've had plenty of discussions, myself and Mike and the scouting group, about what we can do to support that area. I've had numerous players that have been offered up in terms of trying to help out. At this point in time, I don't feel as though those players are going to be the ones to take us forward. So we continue to work with the group that we have. We continue to give opportunities to some of the guys in behind that, and we'll continue to look as well. And if the right person comes up, then we'll do our very utmost to try and bring that player into the group.
Next, we'll go to Jamie Rook. Go ahead, Jamie.
Hi, Gary. Does the Revs' recent loss to LAFC give you a big boost of confidence going into this game?
Not really. I don't think it makes any difference, to be perfectly honest. In fact, I would say the complete opposite. They started off very, very well. I think they've had a little bit of a poke in the eye and a reality check in LA. Every one of that group, on field, off field, will be bitterly disappointed to go there and get beat. And I would think that they'll be in the very best mental and physical shape to try and get a result out of us at the weekend. So in many ways, it probably came at a bad time they'll want to bounce back from it, and we'll be on the receiving end. And we've always had very, very tough games against New England, full stop. Whether it's at Gillette or, at Titans. I can't remember if we've played them at Geodis yet. I don't think so. But whenever we've played them, it's always been an incredibly tight and tough game. And I would hope and expect that it will be nothing different.
Sam Minton, you're on with Coach Smith. Go ahead, Sam.
Hello, Coach. I just want to ask, obviously, there will be the return of guys going up against Dave Romney. So just overall, what will it be like to go up against Dave? And what stands out about him as a player?
Well, Dave was fabulous for us. I think he missed 2 games. I may be over-exaggerating on that, in 3 years. He was absolutely outstanding in terms of his consistency and the type of foundation that he helped us to form at this soccer club. So I have the highest regard for Dave, and it seems like, as I've said, he settled into the group well in New England. I mean, of course, there'll be some familiarity with the players on the field. He's been in and around them for 3 years. I would think that Dave will want to try and get one over them, and they'll be trying to do their very utmost to get one over him. So that's what you get with ex-teammates. Won't be any different this weekend.
Tim Sullivan, go ahead.
Hey, Gary, you mentioned the difficulty and the history that you have with New England, especially when you guys are up there. What are you most concerned about with what they present to you this year, and what is it about, whether it's that team or whether it's Bruce's coaching, whatever it is, that makes them such a difficult matchup, not just for you guys, but for everybody year after year?
Look, Bruce's record speaks for itself. He's been the most successful coach domestically, I think, in history in MLS. So I don't think we need to go any further there. His teams are always very, very tough to play against. His recruitment is excellent. He puts together teams with great balance. And I think what you've got in that New England group are some players like Bo and Hill, who are tremendously talented and creative. You've got loads of pace and energy out wide, especially the fullbacks. Bai and Jones have shown over the last few years what a threat they can be going forward as well as defensively. And he's got a really nice footballing group there. They're 2 home games so far, and we are early on in the season, but their 2 home games have been victories. They'll feel as though it's a good opportunity for them, obviously, to pick up points. And when you go to New England, you know that turf field's never going to be easy to play on, and they play it very well. So there's a challenge all round. We have been able to adapt in the past. There's no reason why we shouldn't adapt on this occasion. And I would think we're in for a very tight and challenging game, as we have been in the past.
We'll swing it back over here to Drake Hills and then go to Ben Wright. Go ahead, Drake.
Yeah, as far as Annabelle working his way back, he's kind of been in, he's been out, he's working his way to 100%. Where is he on that path for you?
Annabelle has made a very nice recovery from the shoulder injury. However, there are still some aspects of the injury that are concerning. He's been able to do limited work with the group. His inclusion or not in the weekend's events will be a very last minute one. I would say he's probably 60-40 against at the moment, as he tries to work his way back to what we would class as full fitness and sharpness. But it's certainly not as damaging an injury as we first thought. But there are still some things that are not quite right about that shoulder, and we want to try and protect him as much as we can.
Thank you, Coach. We'll go to Ben Wright and then Tim Sullivan to wrap up Coach's availability. Go ahead, Ben.
Yeah, Gary, we've obviously seen Dax wear the armband for basically every time he started for Nashville. In the past 2 games, Walker kept the armband. I'm just curious about that decision, what all went into it, and is that like an official change, or is that just how it played out the past 2 weeks?
Yeah, no, it's an official change. I had a chat with Dax, and Dax, being the consummate professional that he is, understood completely what I was wanting and where we were going. To be perfectly honest, and I've said this to the group, it's not anything that isn't out there in the sort of team world that we have. We have a number of individuals here in a very experienced group who could have been wearing that armband. Annabelle's captained his country numerous times. Sean Davis has captained New York for many, many years. We've had Dax. Walker's captained his country. And I'm probably missing out guys as well. So whilst somebody has to wear it, and I believe Walker is a terrific individual to be representing us and taking us forward, there are lots of guys in this group that we still need acting as captains out on that field. And I have no issue with the way that verbally these guys want to give their opinions and how they go about their work. They've been very vocal this year about certain things on and off the field, and that's part of having a good leadership group. And I think we've got not only a good relationship, but I think it's getting stronger and stronger. But you're right, it's a permanent move, and Walker will be captain.
Go ahead, Tim. Take us home.
Hey Gary, as you look specifically towards this weekend, after a more broad question, but as you look specifically towards this weekend, what does it take to kind of change the narrative? I don't believe you guys have scored at New England. I know your matches there have been draws. What does it take to change a narrative like that as you head up there once again?
Well, you'll probably remind me, but I know we've been on 2 occasions to New England. Derek Jones played as a centre forward in our first year when we had an absolute truckload of injuries, and we earned an incredibly good point in a 0-0. We then played them on a long away stretch where we played Toronto on the weekend, and we went to New England midweek, and there was a lot of rotation in the group. I think I remember playing, what might have been, a more of a squad group with a sprinkling of first choice players from the outset. And if I'm not mistaken, we came home at the weekend and had a good result. So that wasn't the worst decision in the world either. I can't remember going to New England being at full strength. Somebody might be able to tell me otherwise, but I think for one reason or another, there's always been some difficulties in that fixture. Now, that's not to say that the game will be any easier, of course, but I think for the first time we go there in a very good place, in a good mindset, and I would expect it will be a really good game. We have the ability and have shown to go and score goals and to make a difference. The start of the season's been a decent one for us, and we want to keep that going. So I would think this one will be slightly different to maybe the others, but nevertheless, if we can come out of there with something, then it's been a good trip.
Phil?
It's going to be fun. I don't know what to expect yet, but I saw a lot of my friends in preseason, was able to play against them. Obviously, it was a preseason match, but still took it seriously. But a lot of fond memories, great fans. My girls were born there, so it's a special place in my heart, definitely, back there in Boston. So I'm excited to get back there. But it's going to be an intense matchup, and I know the Revs are coming off a challenging game at LA. So I know they're going to be prepared. Bruce always prepares his team, so it's going to be fun, and it's going to be a good challenge.
Thank you, Teal. Greg, you have any questions? All righty, we'll go straight to Zoom. We'll start with Sam Minton and then go to Tim Sullivan. Go ahead, Sam.
Hey, Neil, it is nice to talk to you again. Hello from New England. I just wanted to ask, we got to talk to Bruce Arena, and he said that you're one of the finest athletes he's ever gotten to work with. So just overall, what is your reaction to getting that praise from Bruce?
Wow. Well, nice talking to you again, Sam. That's great, I guess, Had a great time with Bruce, and that means a lot. I think a lot of people know me, and they know that obviously soccer is important, but it's not everything for me. So to be known as something like that from a coach, I think that speaks a lot of volume. So I appreciate those kind words from Bruce, and looking forward to seeing him. And he's a top coach, knows what he's doing. So it'll be fun to see him and kind of give him a little banter too.
Go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, Teal, I guess aside from considering you one of the greatest athletes he's ever coached, what is it about Bruce's teams that so consistently makes them able to succeed and find the levels of success that he's obviously had across multiple MLS stops, but especially in New England?
Yeah, I think he knows how to manage the players extremely well. He knows what type of players he needs to fit into a system he wants to run. And instead of being overbearing tactically, he kind of lets guys figure out what they need to do while they're on the field and adapting to new challenges. He sets teams up properly and always is able to get the most out of players. So I think this year with the Revs, it's no different. He's been able to do it countless different teams, like you said, national team. He knows a little bit about the game of soccer. So he's always going to have these guys prepared no matter what. And in particular, coming off a challenging match against LAFC, he's definitely going to make sure that the guys are ready. They're playing at home. So we just have to be prepared and focus on things that we can control.
Go ahead, Ben.
A lot was talked about last year about kind of the offense needing to step up besides Hani and do more and get some other guys on the score sheet. And obviously this year you scored 4 goals, none of the Hani. You're contributing. Fafa was brought in and was contributing. Jacob obviously has 2 goals. How do you feel like the offense has developed over the offseason? And do you guys feel like you're in a better place to get some more guys to like keep up this level of contribution and not put it all on Hani?
Yeah, I think it's, obviously Hani being the reigning MVP, he brings so much to the team, whether it's scoring, assisting, working. But I also think that we have a lot of players that bring different things to the team. And we're only 3 games into the season, so we don't want to get too crazy and start taking out too many things from these games. But I think we're moving in the right direction. I think that a lot of people are contributing. I think more importantly that we're finding ways to get results and working as a group. And I think that's going to be important. I know it's early, but getting points early on helps us in the long run. And I think that we're able to do that. And this weekend isn't going to be any different. So I think guys are just going to have to continue to step up, whether it's Hani, myself, CJ, Fafa coming in there, Jacob. These are the attacking guys that, we're going to Randall, that are going to try to contribute as much as possible. And I think having that much depth on a team brings the most out of players. So it's something that I enjoy playing on a team like this.
Thank you, Teal. We'll swing it back around to Sam. Go ahead, Sam.
And Teal, obviously getting to play with someone like Hani Mukhtar, can you just kind of talk about what makes him special as a player, and maybe also too, with your experience playing with Carlos Hill, can you compare and contrast their playing styles?
Yeah, I mean, it's always weird trying to compare and contrast different players that you've played with, and I think a lot of fans and people can see the differences and the similarities that those players have. I think that Hani's very special at going 1v1. He wants the ball at all times, doesn't care if there's 3 guys on him, which is a great quality to have. And I think he's always trying to find moments to off-kilter the defense. And even when you think maybe he's not going to get out of a situation, he does. And that's something that is, something you can't, it's hard to defend against. And playing with Carles, he's a top player too. He's so composed on the ball. He can create chances for anybody at any moment. So it's somebody, whether he's playing or not, that you're going to have to keep an eye on. So 2 top players. I think they are different players for sure, but two of the best in the league.